Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different from the usual vlogs and day in the life videos that I do. I'm actually going to be doing a video all about finances and budgeting and pretty much how we were able to completely pay off our mortgage. We don't owe anything on our house. We are completely debt free. And I've mentioned this a few times in videos before, and I always constantly get asked, how did we do it? And I have been meaning to make a video like this for a while, but y'all know Alex, my husband, is the financial guru. I am not. He has taught me everything I know. And so he's really the one that should be making the video. Since he does not like to be filmed, which is another thing, if you guys don't know that about my husband, he doesn't like to be on camera. You probably won't see him in my vlogs most of the time unless I sneak him in there or get like the back of him. So he did not want to like sit down and film a video. But with that being said, he also loves helping people who need like financial advice, I guess. He's not a financial advisor. He used to do investment banking and he does all sorts of finance things now. I honestly don't even know like the specifics of it, but he's really good at what he does and he's really good with finances and he's very extreme as well, which I'm gonna let you guys know now. He's extreme, okay? But he really did want to help you guys and give you guys some advice and tips that helped him and that helped our family get to where we are now. So he took it upon himself to use my microphone and he just went to town. I think he talks for almost 15 minutes giving you guys his like biggest tips to get to financial freedom. I did ask you guys for all of your like financial and budgeting questions because originally we were going to do a Q&A, but when we went through all the questions, Alex said that he would rather just go ahead and give you guys some of his like general tips of what he does and what he goes by, because that in itself is going to answer a lot of your questions. Regardless of that, we got some really good questions. So I am going to be doing a Q&A and I'm going to put that up later on, but I wanted to get this video up first because I feel like once you guys listen to Alex's, I don't know, approach on budgeting and finances, then you'll really understand like his way of thinking about all of it, and then we can go into like the specific questions that you guys ask, because I still have all of your questions on my phone and I still definitely want to do that Q&A for you guys, but it's not going to be this video. But I'm going to put up like Alex's avatar photo, and so you're not going to see him. He's not going to be talking to the camera like I am right now. So go ahead and put in your AirPods or put on your headphones, go take a walk, do some dishes or laundry, whatever you want to do. And really, you guys, if you're really interested in this and you really do want to get out of debt or pay off your house or pay off your car or whatever it is, really listen. I will see you guys after.
So Liza told me that some folks were interested in hearing me talk about some personal finance. I know she got a lot of specific questions and I'd be happy to respond to those, but I think it's important to share like a broader, more general set of ideas before trying to answer any specific questions. Essentially, what I can give you is the way I think about personal finance. I think that having an understanding of this probably would answer about half the questions that Liza received. And if folks seem receptive to what I'm saying, maybe I'll revisit some of the more specific questions, that aren't like directly covered here. So that's what this video will be about, at least, my little rant here. I'm gonna give you 4 personal financial principles that I think have helped me over the years and I believe can help others as well. Before I get into that, I want to be clear. All of this is my own personal views, beliefs, opinions. You may agree or disagree, and you're welcome to do so. I'm not advocating that anyone take any action or not take any action or set of actions. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not anyone's financial advisor. This is simply what I believe to be the keys to personal financial freedom based on my own experiences. First thing, so personal financial principle number 1, recognize what money is, right? So to truly understand what money is, you first have to know the answer to an important question. what's the most valuable asset in the world? It's time. Why? Because time is the only thing that you can't get back, right? Money actually is the third most valuable thing. In my view, it goes time, then health, right? But health is kind of a whole nother topic, so I'm not really going to talk about that, but just suffice it to say, take care of yourself so that when you go through all the trouble of becoming financially, free, you can live a long time and enjoy it. So time, health, then third is money, right? So that's the third most valuable asset, because while money can't really buy back time, it does empower you to use your time more optimally. So kind of, a couple examples, right? So from a personal perspective, money allows you to spend less time doing things you don't want to do and more time doing things that make you happy. So, for instance, you could hire someone to go and mow your grass so you can spend more time with your friends and family doing hobbies, whatever it is, right? So kind of menial things that you don't really want to be doing, you can throw someone some cash to go and do it for you, and boom, you have kind of not gotten more time, but you can use your time the way that you want to. So that's personal perspective. From a professional perspective, money allows you to make the best use of your time. So, for instance, if you run a small business and let's say that you're really good at, business development or, whatever it may be to help grow your business and to produce profits. Rather than you doing accounting or administrative work or whatever, you could hire someone to go and do that so you can focus your time on the stuff that's more profitable, right? So, both from a personal perspective and a professional perspective, money allows you to better use your time. So let me put it, an example like this, right? So let's say that someone has a job making $50,000 a year. They work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year. Let's say there's, payroll and income taxes, maybe you get to keep 80% of that. So that's $40,000 for the year. That works out to about $20 an hour, meaning for every hour of your life that you're giving away, that you're forfeiting to your employer, you are receiving $20. So if you go out to a fancy meal for $100, you just traded 5 hours of your life for that food. If you go and buy a car, maybe it's a little bit sporty or a little bit more luxurious than what you really need, and let's say it only costs an extra $5,000. Pretty easy to get upsell $5,000 when you're buying a car. You just traded over 10 days. It's like 10 and a half days of your life that are gone for, whatever you just bought. It'd be alloy wheels or whatever, right? So for some people, maybe that's a sacrifice they're willing to make. They're okay trading that portion of their life for that thing. But for some people, it's not. But in order to be able to make that assessment, is it worth that trade-off? You first have to understand that relationship. So when you spend $1, you had to spend time earning that dollar, and you're therefore exchanging like a small piece of your life to get whatever material thing it is that you're trying to buy. So for the vast majority of people, it's basically anyone who works, exchanging their time, it would be a salary or whatever. That's what money is. It's a little piece of your life. So, I think having that understanding, recognizing what money is in that regard is important. That brings me to number 2. You have to develop an unwavering commitment to the goal, right? Prudent financial management is something that you really have to make part of who you are. It needs to be second nature to you, like part of your DNA. Like not even thinking about it, you just do it, right? You need to develop this tremendous self-discipline and train yourself to be really honest with yourself and distinguish between a need and a want. So, needs are the things that really, food, water, shelter, clothing, right? That type of stuff. Anything beyond that, even if it's within those realms, right? Food, fancy food, clothes, fancy clothes, like anything above the most basic is a want. And that's discretionary spending. And you need to make discretionary spending 0. Not, a little bit, shave it off a little bit. No, 0. Now, everyone says that they want to be financially independent, but most people, I've found that frankly are unwilling to make the required sacrifices. There are some rare exceptions where people are able to achieve, financial freedom without substantial sacrifice, but those are exceptions to the rule. For the vast majority of people, it's going to take real sacrifice. You got to cook all of your meals at home, all of them, all the time. Don't go out to the movies. Don't even rent a movie online. Don't subscribe to a bunch of streaming services. Don't upgrade your cell phone all the time. Don't buy the newest electronics. Don't buy a luxury vehicle. Don't buy designer clothes. Don't even buy name brand clothes, right? So that's pretty extreme. Going to be too extreme for some people, and that's fine. This isn't for everyone. That's why most people aren't financially free. It's a choice that everyone kind of has to make for themselves. And some people will actually find that they don't mind. They would be willing to make the sacrifices themselves, but they actually get kind of peer pressured out of it by people who don't have the same level of self-control. So you may find yourself in that situation. If you do, remember, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You can't let yourself, be derailed from achieving your goals just to get some sort of little immediate, instantaneous gratification. It's just not worth it. More often than not, millionaires are made $100 at a time, not $100,000 at a time. So I promise you, every dollar really does count. Number 3, work ethic. So for me, work ethic trumps raw ability almost every time. It's been my experience that people who are able to kind of elevate their position in life are typically those that are willing to outwork the next guy. So, for example, in school, I wasn't ever the smartest person in the room, but I most definitely was not going to let someone outwork me. No one was willing to put in more hours than I was, so I outperformed pretty much everyone on a regular basis. So that was school. In the real world, in work, it's the same thing. Probably even more pronounced. So, if you are constantly outworking everyone around you, even if you're not the most skilled in whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to develop a reputation with managers, owners, clients, customers, even competitors. And generally speaking, bosses want hard workers. So you can leverage that reputation into pay raises, promotions, even go out and start your own business, right? Because if you are a driving force to having customers come into that business, your employer, then what's stopping you from going out and starting your own business, right? If you've basically got the clients, the customers, if they're coming to see you, that's very powerful, right? And that's something that you can capitalize on and leverage. So kind of the last one, number 4 here. It's important to understand the end game, right? So everything that I've been sitting here talking about, honestly, probably sounds pretty terrible, but fortunately, it doesn't last forever. As you apply these principles and you start making progress, especially on the one we just talked about, number 3, which should help you increase your earnings, what you'll find is that the trade-off we discussed in number 1 starts to shift in a favorable direction. So, for example, if we think back to the guy who was earning $50,000 a year pre-tax, if he's able to increase his earnings to, say, $100K a year, then his trade-off now, rather than being 1 hour of his life was traded for $20, now 1 hour of his life is traded for $40, twice as much. That means that whereas that fancy dinner used to cost him 5 hours of life, now it's 2.5 hours. So maybe that's more palatable for him. Maybe he's now okay with doing that from time to time. And as you progress, that trade-off is going to continuously shift in that favorable direction. And you'll be able to slowly reduce those sacrifices that you have to make and increase the recreation and enjoyment. So, to be real clear, what I'm talking about here is not something that only works for high-income earners. Frankly, it's the opposite. The more money you make, the less relevant this is. For folks who are just barely making ends meet, this is enormously impactful. So that's really it, of the kind of 4 principles there. Just kind of done ranting. But just to recap. So number 1, understanding that money represents a small fraction of your life. Once time's gone, there's no getting it back, no matter how much money you have. 2 and 3, these basically speak to the fact that there are 2 sides to the equation. You got earnings and expenses, and obviously you want to maximize your earnings with number 3 and minimize your expenses with number 2. And so then number 4 here, essentially these principles are most important to folks who are just barely making ends meet. So it's a good way to kind of get yourself on a track. And the sacrifices, they mitigate over time. And as you get rid of those sacrifices, as you kind of progress, all that's going to be replaced with a vastly improved life. Essentially a little bit of pain now and a lot of joy later. So, like I said, I know this is not for everyone, but hopefully it resonates with some folks and you can improve your lives because of it.
All right, guys, so I told you it was extreme. I'm like so curious as to what you guys think after listening to Alex for the past 15 minutes. Definitely let me know down below your thoughts on his approach to everything and his tips. Again, I know it's a lot. I know it's very extreme, but it depends how bad you want it, how much you want to become debt-free or have that like financial freedom. It definitely does take a lot of patience, a lot of dedication, a ton of commitment, and a lot of self-discipline. When you get to that point where you can just breathe and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no debt. I don't owe anyone anything. I own everything that I have. It literally is such a freeing feeling. Yeah, I mean, the reward is just worth it. That's all I have to say. So I definitely was not like this before Alex. I spent money that I didn't have. I used credit cards. I wasn't crazy by any means with anything, but I did have a little bit of debt with credit cards, and I did have like a good chunk of student loans. I owed money on my car, my first car. Like, I definitely wasn't financially free. Alex is the one who like taught me what to do in order to become debt free, and that's a whole nother, like, I got a lot of questions about like car loans and like school debt and like all of that. So I'm gonna answer those questions in the Q&A that I do, but I was able to get out of all of it and pay it all off just by doing pretty much what Alex just told you guys. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for now. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, and if you guys want to see more videos like this that have to deal with finances, I'm definitely gonna still do that Q&A for you guys because I promised you that, and I have a lot of good questions that I do want to answer. But don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.
Don't listen to what everyone else says. Take your time. You're not their mess. Yeah, you might not be at your best, but it's fine. I don't mind telling truths when you need